Looking for a guaranteed way to create content that resonates with your audience? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients and let them choose the topic of the interview. Because if your ideal clients care about the topic, there's a good chance the rest of your audience will care about it too. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Jon Wuebben. He's the CEO of Content Launch, and he's also the author of Future Marketing. Jon, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great.
I'm really excited to chat with you today, Jon. We're going to be talking a lot about your book, but I also want the folks listening to this to have a little bit of context as to Content Launch and what you and your team are up to on that side of your world as well. So could you just kind of briefly explain to our listeners, what is Content Launch and what are you guys up to over there?
Yeah, so Content Launch, we've been around about 14 years. We've been in the content writing services space for that time period, and we have a couple hundred writers. We write content for lots of companies, lots of digital agencies. So that's what we've been doing since 2003. In the last couple of years, we've been hard at work building a content marketing platform, which actually launches next week, I'm happy to say. And that will be basically a content planning, creation, distribution tool that is geared towards SMBs and smaller digital agencies.
I love it. So, Jon, I want to spend the bulk of our time today talking about your newest book. This is your third book, and it's titled Future Marketing. Can you talk to us a little bit about why did you want to write this book?
Yeah, you bet. So, I looked at the landscape of all the marketing books that were out there last year, and what I realized is there were so many great books on, strategy and tactical things and how to do Facebook ads and how to blog effectively and those types of things. And that's what my first two books were about, how to do content marketing, how to be effective with content marketing. But with this one, I thought, where is the marketing practice going? I didn't really even know. I mean, I heard of augmented reality and virtual reality, but I didn't have a whole lot of good ideas on where things were headed. And I thought, has anyone written this book? So I did some research and realized that no one really had written a book on the future of the marketing practice. So I thought, well, maybe I'm the guy to do it. And so I started digging into some research and got really interested in what people were saying. I read a lot of interviews from these futurists who basically spend their entire lives try to plan for the future of business, culture, commerce, and it just got really into it. And as I did the research, I found out that, man, there's a wealth of information on this topic, but no book that really talks about the future of the marketing practice, if you will. A lot of books on the future of business, but nothing on the future of the marketing practice. So that's kind of what went into this book is that whole idea. And a year later, we've got the book.
Love it. I love it. So, and there's a tagline for the book that segues into my next question, Jon. So what is the tagline? And then I want to dive into that.
Yeah, the tagline for this book, or the subtitle, is Winning in the Prosumer Age. And, that's it's kind of a compelling title or subtitle, if you will, and a lot of folks ask me questions about that.
Yeah, so what is a prosumer?
Yeah, so a prosumer is really a mashup of the producer and the consumer, where we are now doing a lot of the producing for the companies that we do business with. For example, like Facebook, all the content on Facebook is produced by us, not Facebook. So we're really helping them run their operation, run the website, and doing all of the content for that particular platform. Same thing on Amazon. When you submit reviews and provide your personal information and all the stuff that you do on your Amazon account, we're helping Amazon run their company. So we're now producers and consumers, and we really need a new name for consumers. So Alvin Toffler, a futurist from the 70s and 80s, very smart guy, wrote a book called The Third Wave. He came up with the prosumer as a word. And so I just tapped into that and essentially, applied it to the marketing practice and how we can tap into this new group of this new consumer, if you will, to really help them have them help us do the marketing for our companies. And, it's super easy for these folks because, they comment, we share, we promote on social media. It's all enabled by Web 2.0. So that's kind of where we're at. I think we really need a new name for the consumer. And I'd like to say it's the prosumer.
I got it. And so does this idea of a prosumer, is it tied at all to customer advocacy or like really turning your existing customers into advocates for your brand? Or is that a bit too much of a stretch?
No, I think it's tied very closely. And I think that there's a group of your prosumer customers that would want to be those folks, right? That are those folks, your raving fans, if you will. And absolutely. I mean, think about the companies that we like to do business with. We all have favorite brands that we absolutely love that we'd be willing to do things for because they provide such a great experience for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. It's tied very closely to customer advocacy and influencer marketing and thought leadership and that whole piece of it. But in a way, these are customers that are making our jobs easier and helping us do some of the marketing. So why not tap into that?
That makes perfect sense. So this next piece that I want to talk to you about, Jon, is around this idea that, in the future, we'll be buying experiences, not necessarily just products and services. We're buying an experience. Can you talk to us about this idea?
Yeah. So what we've seen in the last 10 years is we've seen the rise of the platform. So if you look at Salesforce.com or, HubSpot or Marketo, these marketing platforms, there's so many platforms now. And that was an extension of the services component of business that really took hold in the 80s and 90s. So we went from products to services to platforms. And now the next thing is experiences. And the reason why people are going to buy experiences in the future is because our customers are asking more of us as companies, and they're not as loyal as they used to be. The thing with experiences, if you think about the experiences that you do in life, the value of the experience lasts, right? And doing things makes people happier than having things. So whether it's going to Disneyland with the family or going to an industry conference and engaging with industry folks at a conference, or it's going to an event through your church. These are all experiences, and in the future, every company that now only has products or services will need to platform or turn those products or services into experiences, and there's a lot of ways to do that. If you look at like Bass Pro Shops, if you look at REI, the outdoor retailer, if you look at Pike Place Fish Market in Seattle, these are all great examples of retailers that have turned their retail operation into an experience. Mm-hmm. When you walk into REI, you see a climbing wall, you see a place where you can get your running measured, you see bikes that you can test out. These are all, experiences that REI has created for their customers as they walk in the door. So we already have a lot of companies that are doing this. It's just now it needs to be, more ubiquitous across all companies and start planning for that, now, because in 5 to 6 years, your customers are going to want to buy experiences.
So how do you see this looking? Jon, you obviously run a B2B company. I run a B2B company. The folks listening to this are B2B marketers. The REI example, the retail example, obviously, more of a B2C angle. How do you see experiences being shaped by brands that are B2B?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've gotten that before. So I think one of the easy ones on that is setting up some kind of event, right? A physical live event with your customers, with your partners, with your employees. So that's an easy one. And that's one that a lot of B2B companies are doing now today. Yeah. I think there are, a lot of online experiences that we can do as companies, as B2B companies, whether that's same thing. You could have a customer summit, an online customer summit. I think a lot of B2B companies have services. So like for us, we do a lot of content strategy services and content writing services. I think an extension of that, to turn that into an experience, would be maybe we have like a content strategy summit where we bring in, 5 to 6 industry leaders and then invite some of our customers in various regional areas. So in other words, another conference or another event. I think that's a natural way of doing it. I think there's other things you can do too, but it's sort of, we need to really think outside the box and come up with some creative ways of turning our services into experiences. But there's a million ways to do it. And there's also a really good book. I'll have to get back to your listeners on that one. But there's a book, I think it was called The Experience Economy, which was one book I read for my book when I did the research. And it was just fantastic. and it covered everything you need to know about turning your services into experiences. So those are just a few ideas, but stay tuned for more. I think there's a lot of things we can do with that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a place where it'll be fun to see how B2B brands innovate. We just did our first virtual summit a few weeks ago, and the results were really cool. But when you can provide an experience for prospective buyers, for existing customers, I think it's definitely a way to win as marketing continues to evolve. So this last, where I want to end the interview today with you, Jon, is in the book, you talk about some very specific things that you think will change by the year 2021 and again by the year 2030. And these are as they relate to the actual practice of marketing. Can you share a few of those specific things that you see changing, in the next, 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, you bet. So leading into that, I think a really good discussion is what we all know is the 4 Ps of marketing, right? And the 4 Ps of marketing have been around since the mid-'60s. In looking at where we're at with this construct of marketing, if you will, we really need a new construct going into the next 13 years. And so I came up with a new marketing construct, kind of replacing the 4 Ps, and I'm calling it EP squared. And what EP squared is, it's engagement, experiences, personalization, and passion. And those 4 areas, really are the things we need to nurture and take care of as marketers with our customers. And if you think about each one of those, each of them focuses on the relationship you have with your prosumer customers. We've already talked about experiences. Engagement's easy. That's where you actually interface with your customer, whether it's online or live. Personalization, that idea has been around for a long time. Personalizing the experience, personalizing the email. And then passion. And this is something that's really being driven by Generation Z and the millennials, which is they're basically saying, hey, we only want to work with companies who are passionate, who are authentic, who care about their products and services and employees. And so that one's really being led by the younger generations. And I think, it just makes sense that we want to do business with companies that are passionate about what they do. Yeah. So I think EP squared, this new marketing construct, really works well as we go into, what are the big changes in marketing in the year 2021. So within 4 years, I go through 10 key changes in the marketing practice that we're starting to see some now and will be fully realized by 2021. The first one is going from brands to platforms. Okay. So the word brand has been a very powerful and magical word in marketing for a long, long time. And you hear it a lot. But really, we need a new word. The new word is platform. And the reason why platforms are really going to take over the idea of brands is because platforms are sticky and it's hard to leave a platform. And you can really interface with your customers well in a platform. Think about Salesforce.com. It's just a great example of a really well done platform. And so the idea is if you got brands now, how can you turn those brands into platforms in the next 4 years? So that's one of the first things. Okay. 2021. A couple others, going from brand messages to multi-sensory experiences. Okay. So right now we have all kinds of messages that we're putting out to our customers and our prospects about our brand, about our products. But in the future, within 4 years, we really need to turn those messages into these, experiences, like I've mentioned already, and appealing to all 5 senses, if there's a way to do that. I think another one by 2021 that we're looking at is going from storytelling and audience connection. Right now, doing that just through text and video and those types of ways. And in the future, by 2021, we're going to be doing storytelling and connecting with our audience through virtual reality. And we already see some companies using VR for this. If you look at Audi and Volkswagen, they're already providing virtual reality test drives of their vehicles that you can basically put on the VR glasses and go like you're actually in the car from the comfort of your living room. So that's the idea in the future. How can we use virtual reality to connect with our prospects and our customers? And then using that storytelling approach. That's something I'm seeing by 2021 in large part. Most companies will need to do that. And then just one other one, I would say that going from just human thinking, like doing all the thinking ourselves, to more of a cognitive enhancement approach. And that's the AI piece, right? That's artificial intelligence, where we will have, AI helping us make decisions and doing a lot of the, routine marketing tasks that maybe are kind of boring or we see as drudgery now. In 4 years, we're going to have AI-enabled robots helping us answer emails and, have AI-enabled personal assistants and things like that. And all of that will affect the marketing practice very deeply and comprehensively.
So let's move out a bit to 2030. What do you see happening by 2030?
Yeah, so 2030, it sounds like a long time away, but it's only 13 years from now. And I think we really need to start planning for that time frame now because, as you know, things have changed so fast in the last 10 years. I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't even have social media, right? Facebook was just a small idea, and now look at it. So by 2030, I'm seeing 4 key things that are going to affect the marketing practice. The first one is that the idea of computers being everywhere, or a ubiquitous internet in the air around us. Everywhere we go, we'll have access to the web, whether we're, walking through a park or we're, on our way to the office in our car, wherever we go, we're going to have the internet around us. And that's going to be a really big difference from how it is now, where we have to access through a device. So that's number one. Number two, we talk about virtual reality and how that's sort of a thing right now. It's just coming online. By 2030, we're going to have augmented reality, right? AR is different than VR in that augmented reality is where you're interfacing with the world the way it is now, the way you see everything, but you have around you sort of an augmentation, a digital augmentation to your left, to your right, where you have windows popping up, you have access to the internet there. So it's sort of an enriched, experience with augmented reality. So that will be in the mainstream by 2030. And so if we have this augmented, reality around us everywhere we go, how is the marketing going to change if we need to appeal to people in an augmented format, an augmented reality format? So that's number 2. And then 3 would be artificial marketing intelligence. So I talked about AI briefly in the 2021 timeframe, but artificial marketing intelligence will be, mainstream and widespread by 2030. And what we see there is how will it affect us? We're going to have easier exchange of the sales data. We're going to have smarter CRM. We're going to have predictive social media. A lot of things are going to be very, very different, enabled by this artificial intelligence. That really, a lot of our marketing will be AI enabled by then, and it's going to make everything easier. That's the thing about the future. A lot of people are kind of hesitant or a little scared or cautious about the future, but everything's going to be easier and more efficient in the future. So that's a really positive thing.
Will it be easier and more efficient with less, I guess, is the fear there that, marketing teams will be leaner and leaner because just you won't need as many people executing the tasks that are currently done by humans now?
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. But at the same time, we'll have new industries and new types of companies coming online all over the place, right? Because if you look at just AI, right, or just the green movement or all these different, tectonic shifts in culture that we're seeing, we're going to need new industries to take care of these new needs that we have. So yeah, a lot of companies are going to fall away. A lot of industries will fall away by then, but they will be replaced and expanded in many ways by all these new types of companies that we'll need to fulfill all the new services and products that we'll need as prosumers. So that's the thing, is that both will be happening at the same time. And yeah, whenever you have change, there's going to be some negativity and some unfortunate, uncomfortable change that comes with that. But at the same time, and this is one thing I really want to hammer home, is that there's going to be huge opportunity across the board, the opportunity that we don't even know how that's going to look or take shape yet because we're not even there yet. But that's the thing, is we have to be optimistic and positive about the future, because that's going to be a reality, is that, hey, new companies, new industries, and they will need people to do some of these jobs, right? So yeah, some people won't work that maybe work today, but other people will that aren't work. So there's just going to be a lot of change, both good and bad. But if you look at the grand arc of history over the last, say, 100 years, things are a lot better in most ways from 100 years ago. And so I think that's how we need to look at the next 13 years, is I think there's going to be a lot more good than the challenges that we face.
No, I totally agree. And I like having that positive perspective on it, because I totally agree that the amount of opportunity that we're staring down right now is almost overwhelming, but incredibly exciting. Jon, this has been incredibly helpful. I really appreciate your time and walking us through some of the findings that you've uncovered in your book, Future Marketing. If there's somebody listening, maybe they want to connect with you, maybe they want to dig deeper on this stuff with you personally, or they want to learn more about content launch or check out your book, what's the best way for them to go about doing all three of those things?
You bet. So best way to connect with me and also find out more about the book is futuremarketingbook.com. That's the site for the book. So futuremarketingbook.com. And then if they're interested in finding out more about our content marketing platform, they can go to contentlaunch.com, like you're launching a rocket, contentlaunch.com.
And where can folks stay connected with you online as well?
Probably the best way is Twitter for me, and it's just my name, Jon Wuebben, at Jon Wuebben. And I look forward to connecting with folks there.
Awesome. Wonderful, Jon. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
If you've been getting value from this podcast, you can help us reach more people by reviewing the show on iTunes. Here's how you can leave a review in less than a minute. Open your podcast app and tap the search icon in the bottom right corner. Type in B2B Growth, then select our show. Once you're there, tap the Reviews tab and tell us what you think of the show. These reviews help us out a ton.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.